Evander Holyfield is an American former professional boxer who competed between 1984 and 2011. He reigned as the undisputed champion at cruiserweight in the late 1980s and at heavyweight in the early 1990s, and remains the only boxer in history to win the undisputed championship in 2 weight classes in the 3-belt era. Nicknamed the Real Deal, Holyfield is the only 4-time world heavyweight champion, having held the unified WBA, WBC, and IBF titles from 1990 to 1992. The WBA and IBF titles again from 1993 to 1994, the WBA title a third time from 1996 to 1999, the IBF title a third time from 1997 to 1999, and the WBA title for a fourth time from 2000 to 2001. He retired in 2014 and is ranked number 77 on the Rings list of 100 greatest punchers of all time. And in 2002, he was named the 22nd greatest fighter of the past 80 years. Evander Holyfield has an estimated net worth of $2 million. About Evander Holyfield's early life. Evander Holyfield was born on October 19, 1962, in the mill town of Atmore, Alabama. The youngest of 9 children, Evander Holyfield was much younger than his other siblings and was born from a different father. His family later moved to Atlanta, Georgia, where he was raised in the crime-ridden Bowen Homes housing projects. He's a younger brother of actor and dancer Bernard Holyfield. Evander Holyfield began boxing at age 7 and won the Boys Club boxing tournament. At age 13, he qualified to compete in his first Junior Olympics. By age 15, he became the Southeastern Regional Champion, winning this tournament and the Best Boxer Award. By 1984, he had a record of 160 wins and 14 losses, with 76 of those by knockout. When he was 20 years old, Evander Holyfield represented the U.S. in the 1983 Pan American Games in Caracas, Venezuela, where he won a silver medal after losing to Cuban world champion Pablo Romero. The following year, he was the National Golden Gloves champion and won a bronze medal in the 1984 Summer Olympics Games in Los Angeles, California, after a controversial disqualification in the second round of the semifinal against New Zealand's Kevin Barry. Evander Holyfield is 6 feet 2 inches tall, or 1.89 meters tall. About Evander Holyfield's personal life. From 1985 to 1991, Evander Holyfield was married to Paulette Brown. In October 1996, he was married to Dr. Janice Itzen. The two had 1 child together and divorced in 2000. From 2003 to 2012, he was married to Candy Calvana Smith, with whom he has 2 children. He is separated from his third wife, Candy Calvana. Evander Holyfield has 11 children with 6 different women. One of his sons, Evan Holyfield, followed in his father's footsteps and became a professional boxer. Another son, Elijah Holyfield, played college football at the University of Georgia. In 1996, Evander Holyfield was given the opportunity to carry the Olympic torch when it was on its way to his hometown of Atlanta for that year's Olympics. In 2017, a statue of Evander Holyfield, designed by sculptor Brian Hanlon, was commissioned by the city of Atlanta for installation in downtown Atlanta. Evander Holyfield is a born-again Christian. About Evander Holyfield's financial difficulties. In June 2008, a legal notice was placed by Washington Mutual Bank stating that Holyfield's $10 million, 54,000 square foot, 109-room suburban Atlanta estate would be auctioned off on July 1, 2008 due to foreclosure, shortly before that bank's insolvency. Rapper Rick Ross ended up acquiring the house. Adding to his financial problems, Toy Irvin, mother of his then 10-year-old son, filed suit for non-payment of 2 months of child support. He was paying $3,000 per month for this child. A Utah landscaping firm also has gone to court seeking $550,000 in unpaid debt for services. His fortune was drained by frivolous spending, multiple failed business ventures, constant child support payments, and his 3 divorces, among other things. In 2012, The Independent described Holyfield as flat broke and bankrupt, despite having earned £350 million, or $513 million over his boxing career. As of 2019, he was earning about $1.2 million a year, mostly through personal appearances. About Evander Holyfield's career. Evander Holyfield started out professionally as a light heavyweight, with a televised win in 6 rounds over Lionel Byram at Madison Square Garden on November 15, 1984. On January 20, 1985, he won another 6-round decision over Eric Winbush in Atlantic City, New Jersey. On March 13th, he knocked out Fred Brown in the first round in Norfolk, Virginia, and on April 20th, he knocked out Mark Rivera in 2 rounds in Corpus Christi, Texas. Evander Holyfield turned professional at the age of 21, moving up to cruiserweight in 1985 and winning his first world championship the following year, defeating Dwight Muhammad Qawi for the WBA title. He then went on to defeat Ricky Parkey and Carlos de Leon to win the WBC and IBF titles, thus becoming the undisputed cruiserweight champion. In 1988, he moved up to heavyweight, later defeating Buster Douglas in 1990 to claim the unified WBA, WBC, and IBF heavyweight titles and the undisputed heavyweight championship. Evander Holyfield successfully defended his titles 3 times, scoring victories over former champions George Foreman and Larry Holmes before suffering his first professional loss to Riddick Bowe in 1992. He regained the crown in a rematch 1 year later, defeating Riddick Bowe for the WBA and IBF titles. Bowe had relinquished the WBC title beforehand. Evander Holyfield later lost these titles in an upset against Michael Moorer in 1994. He was forced to retire in 1994 upon medical advice, only to return a year later with a clean bill of health. In 1996, he defeated Mike Tyson and reclaimed the WBA title in what was named by the Ring magazine as the Fight of the Year and Upset of the Year. This made Evander Holyfield the first boxer since Muhammad Ali to win a world heavyweight title 3 times. He won a 1997 rematch against Mike Tyson, which saw the latter disqualified in round 3 for biting off part of Holyfield's ear. During this reign as champion, he also avenged his loss to Michael Moorer and reclaimed the IBF title. In 1999, he faced Lennox Lewis in a unification fight for the undisputed WBA, WBC, and IBF titles, which ended in a controversial split draw. He was defeated in a rematch 8 months later. The following year, he defeated John Ruiz for the vacant WBA title, becoming the first boxer in history to win a version of the heavyweight title 4 times. He lost a rematch against Ruiz 7 months later and faced him for a 3rd time in a draw. Evander Holyfield currently ranks number 91 in BoxRec's ranking of the greatest pound-for-pound boxers of all time. Boxing Scene ranked him the greatest cruiserweight of all time. He's also the first boxer to hold world titles in 3 different decades, in the 1980s, 1990s, and 2000s. About Evander Holyfield's other ventures. By 1992, Evander Holyfield was already a household name, endorsing multiple products on television, such as Coca-Cola and Diet Coke. He also had a video game released for the Sega Genesis and the Sega Game Gear, Evander Holyfield's Real Deal Boxing. He founded Real Deal Records, which signed the briefly successful group Exhale. About Evander Holyfield's house. Evander Holyfield owned a $10 million mansion in the suburbs of Atlanta. The enormous 54,000-square-foot mansion sits on 235 acres and is the largest single-family home in the state of Georgia. It consists of 109 rooms, 12 bedrooms, and 21 bathrooms. In June 2008, a legal notice was placed by Washington Mutual Bank stating that the mansion would be auctioned off on July 1, 2008 due to foreclosure shortly before that bank's insolvency. Rapper Rick Ross ended up acquiring the house. About Evander Holyfield's car collection. Evander Holyfield owns or has owned a Cadillac Escalade, a Hummer H2, a Bentley Continental, and a Ducati Diavel motorcycle. Well, that's about it for this video. Thanks so much for watching. Go ahead and give us a like and don't forget to subscribe. We'd also love to get a comment or 2 from you if we can. We hope you'll join us again real soon for our next video about your favorite celebrity.